Welcome to the Digital Marketing Insights podcast, brought to you by Brightside Digital.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I'm delighted to say I have Gavin with me today, who's a freelance content writer. How are you doing, Gavin?
I'm not too bad, Tom. Delighted to be on the show. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you, and I'm delighted to have you on as well.
Thank you.
Gavin, let's start off by you telling everyone a little bit about yourself, your career today, and your work in content.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a bit of a backdrop about myself. So, my name is Gavin. I'm a 26-year-old content marketing professional who is currently operating as a freelancer. So, just a bit of a bit of backdrop about how I got into content writing and content creation. So, pre-pandemic, the years kind of leading up to it, after leaving school, I did quite a bit of travel. I worked in a number of industries, including, hospitality, sales, and recruitment. However, my passion throughout this whole time was creative writing. So that is like storytelling, poems, short stories, and things of a more creative nature. So that was always my passion. And when COVID came, I was in recruitment and it kind of went a little bit heads up. But a great opportunity came my way around that time. Two guys I know, two really kind of smart, good guys, were setting up a startup business in the e-commerce space. One of them, very good business acumen. The other, I would say, great at coding and stuff like that. But they needed someone who had a way with words. And that was when I first heard about content marketing. So it was quite interesting. Like remember speaking to them about it, and the more I heard about it, the more excited I got. It played to my strengths, and after leaving school, I'd always wondered how I could, make maybe what would play to my strengths with a career. So it seemed like a match made in heaven, and that was the start of the journey. So that was about just under 3 years ago. What happened then was I just self-taught myself as much as I could through online learning, online resources such as HubSpot. I'd watch YouTube videos, I'd listen to podcasts. I just consumed a lot of quality content, took notes, etc. So it was great. With that role, I actually was working remotely in Valencia for about 10 months and really enjoying my lifestyle, my work-life balance. Unfortunately, the startup came to a bit of a crossroads where my two colleagues, they had other other work commitments outside of the startup, and they got two really good opportunities they couldn't ignore. So that left me sort of wondering what my next move was. At the start, it was a bit of a shock, but I took a positive spin to it and realized that I'd learned a lot in the last couple of years. This was something I enjoyed, something I was good at. So I decided to take a leap of faith as a freelancer. Which was very interesting indeed. So, look, with that uncharted waters, I had to be resourceful. So, what I did was I reached out to business owners that I know back in my community in Dublin, in Malahide. And I got speaking with the head of a very successful dog subscription box service organization. It's called Buster Box. So I got chatting with the CEO, and what I did was my approach, I decided, would be to find out more about businesses, their content, what were their pain points, what were they struggling with, and then I would devise ways where I would either upskill if I had to learn what I needed to secure the role, or hopefully I already had the experience needed. So what I found was Buster Box they have a great setup, a great system, but they had no blog. The blog was kind of a dead blog. They had no SEO or strategy. So I provided for them, keyword research, a bit of content planning, and sort of some SEO optimized guidelines. And that was my first client. We agreed, and I'm working with them to this day. And yeah, since then we've built a blog which is now kind of getting consistent organic traffic, and it's doing quite well. I'd say there might be 50 plus up on it now. And with that, then I marketed out the blogs I wrote on LinkedIn, and a few opportunities came calling. I had a couple of freelance roles as a ghostwriter for an agency over in the UK. I had an opportunity writing, recipe copy for YouTube and socials through an American company. And then another business I'm working with at the moment, the Founder Factory saw my work. They're a content creation studio, and they're looking for someone who come in who could, head up their content writing approach. So I've had a working relationship with them since. So it's quite a lot in under a year, if I may say. So it's been quite a journey, and all along I'm still trying to keep learning as much as I can.
Very good point. And is there any campaign that you feel you've made or content piece that you've made really successfully that you're really proud of that you
Yeah.
might be familiar with?
So for me, I suppose I might have slightly touched on it, was with BusterBox. So BusterBox being a very reputable organization, so to have the blog kind of solely in my control was quite a big responsibility. There was little expectation because there was no leads through it. There was no traffic at all coming from that. So building that up from scratch, working, like collaborating with the design team to make sure that it looked good, that, it was smooth and seamless, and building up blogs, which, the types of content I was writing were, designed for different stages of the buyer's journey, awareness of a problem, the consideration stage, and then, the decision-making stage, and splitting it up into that. And actually now recently, so I've been doing that since March, in the last couple of months in particular, we've had a real increase in organic traffic and, conversions from some of them blog articles, which for me, is fantastic, because I think with SEO in particular, when you're in the middle of doing it over time, you need to trust the process, but until you actually see results, you're not 100% sure if it's going to work or not. So I think that was one that was a big one for me. And I was working with a creative agency in the UK as a ghostwriter. They had a new client on board and they needed 2 to 3, long form pieces of content done a week, which was quite intensive for a launch date. But I absolutely loved it. I got stuck in, and it's great. Although it doesn't have my name on it, I've seen the blogs on LinkedIn and on their website, and they look good. So I think those two in particular, really.
Love it. And any particular softwares you use, Gavin, that you could
Um,
recommend to everyone that you think are good?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose I've tried my hand at quite a few. There are some I'm still learning about, and like ClickUp, for example, is one I'm using at the moment for social media management, which is, proven to be really good. But for ones that I'm experienced with over the last year, I would say number one, WordPress. It's a really easy to use publishing platform. You can add in any plugin you want to, shape your experience and to help it benefit your own brand or business. A good example of one of them plugins is Yoast. So what I would say for people is, if they want to get their content found online, they need to have keywords and an SEO strategy. So what Yoast does is, you'll enter your keyword. It could be, for example, Podcast Studio Dublin for us here. You put it into Yoast, you create your blog, and it works like a traffic light system. So it's red light, yellow light, green light. So basically it's a checklist. Red lights would be all the things you haven't done. So it might say to me, Gavin, you haven't entered that keyword in the blog headline. There's no images. You have no links. Yellow light might mean, okay, you've written, your blog is good, but your headline is too long. And then green light, it's like basically tick, tick, tick. Everything is done. So if you can have all green lights done, you're laughing. That means that your blog is optimized and you don't need to worry about it. And lastly, one that I would say, I was a bit of a very much a novice when it came to designing, graphics. It wouldn't have been my area of expertise, but Canva, a brilliant tool. You can create really good visuals, which are obviously very important for quality content. So for me, as I said, as a raw beginner, to have the ability to create high caliber social posts, infographics that could complement the words I've written, that was very, I couldn't believe that I had, the ability to do that, and Canva makes it quite easy. So they'd be my big three.
All excellent software. So WordPress, is that your preferred go-to kind of CRM backend part of a website?
Yeah, I think so. It's one I have the most experience with anyways. In terms of CRM, I've other website providers I've used Wix before, which was extremely, easy to use, very user friendly. It looks very well, but it does sort of lack the same, those plugins that can really make a website grow.
Yeah.
And for my own one, I have two myself. I have one I'm working on, which is a WordPress, which is for a project that I'll have, a personal project. But for my portfolio, I use Squarespace. Just really easy to use and manage, and I would highly recommend it to anyone looking to build a portfolio quickly.
Love it. And Gavin, obviously you're always upskilling yourself. You can tell that just by listening to you. But is there any particular websites or areas that you'd recommend to learn new information, to get new insights?
Yeah, so I think for myself, definitely, there's some really good blogs out there from some of the big hitters. Like I think HubSpot for me, I couldn't emphasize enough how at the beginning, like I did actually, they've got some fantastic blog posts, but they also had these little online courses that you can do for free, and it's an introduction to content marketing. If it's like with 8 maybe sections or lessons within it, if you can take down notes and learn from that, you've given yourself a really good foundation. And it depends which way you want to obviously learn your content. Some people like to listen to podcasts, Tom, and some people like to watch videos. I think YouTube is just fantastic because it's free. People, with the great thing about content is people need to provide value for it to work. So people are, all the secrets are sort of there for free. And one other place I would say is LinkedIn. If you can follow some other people who do something similar to yourself, there are some, really interesting, copywriters, content writers who share their knowledge for free. But yeah.
And looking at yourself for a second, Gavin, is there anywhere you're looking to upskill or learn more about at the moment?
Yeah, so I definitely could see myself now really trying to branch out into video marketing this year. I think I'd like to write more scripts because a lot of people nowadays, if they're searching, whether it's how to make something or how to build or food recommendations, they're using TikTok, which I find quite interesting. Something that I don't have a lot of experience with as of now. But I think that for a lot of people, the future of like the way they're going to consume content will be through TikTok and YouTube. So I want to try and maybe get behind the camera myself and try and reach a wider audience. We'll see.
Well, you're doing that now.
Here we go. Good practice.
And Gavin, looking at the digital industry as a whole, is there anything that really excites you that's coming up in the future?
In the future, I think more and more, as I was saying, people are changing the way that they consume content. I think TikTok now, I think YouTube, podcasts, these are really, growing and expanding and exponentially. So I think that it's important to try and diversify your approach so you don't maybe pigeonhole yourself in one area. But another thing I would find quite interesting, I'm not sure if you've seen a bit about it, it's this artificial intelligence and the role that's going to play in content creation for the future. Now, I've had a run through the chat GPT, and some of the capabilities are quite, incredible. So I think personally that there's big changes coming. I don't know what they look like yet. I can't really define what they are, but it's just about trying to stay ahead of and trying to keep up to date with everything.
Yeah. I'm building a lot of my year around AI at the moment.
Okay.
A lot of my work is building on that. I'll share it on another show. It's not the right one for it. But I fully recommend experiment in that area.
Yeah.
Gavin, at the end of the show, we always ask the same question, which is if you could bottle up one personality trait that you have yourself that you could pass on to others, what would it be?
Well, to be honest with you, I think it's very important to try and be positive, positivity. Try and like when the news of the startup kind of maybe came at that time where I was in Valencia, it was a bit of for me, it was a bit unexpected, but what it actually meant was that, I could turn maybe not the best situation into a good one. And that was through being positive about it. And just for myself, I think it's important that people are, passionate about what they do. I think if you're happy when you're working, you're making life a lot easier because we do spend quite a lot of time working. So just try to be positive if you can, be open-minded and see where it takes you.
Yeah, great answer. And Gavin, obviously you're a freelance content writer. how can people reach out to you? How can they touch base with you?
Yeah, so there is a number of ways you can reach me. I suppose the first being I have just launched my own website for my portfolio, which is very simple. It's www.gavinmulligan.com. So that will basically what that will showcase is maybe a bit of the work I've done before, some client testimonials about me and the services that I offer. It'll be, crystal clear. It's still a little bit of a work in progress, but it's operational at the moment. And then I would say definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn and Gavin Mulligan, just my full name, and that is probably the best. That'll be the best way to contact me, or you can email me as well at gavin.mulligan20
Love it. Gavin, thanks so much for being on the show. Thanks everyone for listening, watching. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Tom. It's been a real pleasure. I'm looking forward to hearing that podcast about the AI. We'll see how we can stay ahead.
All right.